Hi everybody, it's Lou Collins with the tip of the day. So today I want to talk to you about die cutting. Now I have a few different tips when I'm die cutting. One of them is to place my die and my paper in the die cutting machine a particular way, which I'll explain in a moment. But another one is particularly if you're using a frame. So I never usually have a problem cutting this particular frame, but it's the perfect shape to show you. So what I'm going to do first of all is to tack this down. If you are tacking dies down, just something like a washi tape is absolutely fine, or any sort of paper tape or low tack tape you can use just to make sure. So if your die doesn't cut the first time through, you can easily put it through again without it wibbling about and you're getting a double cut. So now with this, when we run this through our machine, let me bring the plate out here. What we're going to find usually is if we put this through like this, as you usually would, straight on, so that's a parallel with the rollers there. We'll run that through. Now, as this section and this section goes under those rollers, okay, so we can now feel that pressure where it's going under. We'll just put that through. So that's under there now. So what's happening? The roller's coming down like this. So the pressure from this roller inside here has to go across the entire die there. So really the pressure has to be dispersed across. Okay, now if any one tiny element of this die here is ever so slightly, like a fraction of a millimetre deeper than the rest of the die, that is going to lift the roller, lift the pressure up off of the entire piece. Okay, and that happens with absolutely any brand of die. So run that through. So you can see what's happened here, and this happens very, very often. The side pieces have cut perfectly. These end pieces, where that pressure had to be spread across and where the slightest element can lift it off the entire die, we haven't got the cut here and here. But you can resolve that. Now, you can, if you want to, then place your die back through your machine at 90-degree angle to the first time you put it. Or alternatively, if you'd like it to cut the first time round, there's two things that I do right from the first cut. Okay, let's put my plates back in, take my top plate off. So the first thing I do is, rather than having my die on top of my paper like this, I actually turn it over. That means that the pressure from that roller is directly hitting the top of the die where we want the paper pressed in to the cutting blade. And I'm also not going to put it in straight. I'm going to put it at a diagonal. This is because now as the rollers come across, okay, so imagine my fingers are the rollers, at any one time, the roller only has to put pressure on two parts of the frame, never on the entire length of any one edge at a time. So it will go down the corner and like this. That's where the pressure will go. So there's more pressure being concentrated on those smaller areas of the die as it goes through. So let's now pop this plate back in and run this back through with those two alterations that I've just made. So now I can see that I have got a perfect cut all the way through. And as you could see as well, by using that tape, I didn't have to reposition anything. I can hear the ice cream van outside. And you can see there, everything has cut beautifully. I just need to take my pokey tool and pop these pieces out, which most of it's happened with my fingers. So there's a couple of tips for cutting areas. Now this particularly works with large panels, large frames where you're trying to cut a huge area all at once. If you can direct the die so that less of the die is being cut at any one time, you will get a much better cut.